When I was in seminary, I went to a workshop where one of the campus chaplains was speaking about Sabbath. And I had been raised in the United Methodist Church. I was raised in a working class, dual income household, which meant generally that my parents worked during the week. Saturdays were for chores and errands. Sundays we went to church. Sabbath was something that we talked about, but a practice of Sabbath was a bit foreign for us. So even then in seminary, as a ministry candidate, hearing about Sabbath in this way was a little bit different for me, because Bridget was talking about going and getting pedicures. She was talking about watching movies. She was talking about reading books. She was talking about taking a nap. And all I really understood about Sabbath was do not work. Right? Do not shop, don't make other people work. And I generally reserved that for Jews and not for Christians, even though the Christians have adopted the Jewish canon, the Old Testament as we know it, and that includes the 10 Commandments, which includes the 4th commandment, thou shalt honor the Sabbath and keep it holy. But practicing the Sabbath was very different. It was a new concept for me anyway. And what I took away from Bridget's sharing was that Sabbath is a practice that is meant to restore us, fill our cup, so to speak, help us so that we can go to work, so we can go to school, so we can have energy, so that we can have joy in our doing because we have rested well. And so I started with Sabbath practices. And at that time I was single, unmarried, I didn't have any kids, so I could be pretty strict about my Sabbath rules. I wasn't making any commitments to anybody. And that meant I wasn't, promising to go out to lunch or go to the movies with a friend or have a walking date. I just sort of kept these very firm boundaries. And then in the morning I would wake up and be like, what do I want to do today? Do I want to watch a movie? Do I want to read a book? I was allowed to cook by my own standards. I was allowed to cook or mow the lawn or do art. It was really about what I wanted. And I had to practice checking in with myself. What would feel good to me today? If I said I have to read a chapter, write a paper, mow the lawn, do the laundry, then it was automatically excluded. No, on Sabbath, I don't do the things I have to do. I do the things I choose to do because I want to, because they feel like they will nurture me. And every Sabbath then took different shapes. Sometimes I was cooking because I wanted to. Sometimes I wanted to rake all the leaves and mow the yard and sort of do that cleansing. Sometimes I would read and fall asleep and read and fall asleep. Sometimes I would binge watch movies or all kinds of different things. What I want to invite you to as we look ahead to our month of Sabbath is an intentional practice of filling your cup. What will be your Sabbath day or half day? If you think, I couldn't spare a whole day, try a half day. And what could you do with that half day to intentionally nourish your mind, body, and spirit? Maybe that's including Bible study. Maybe that's including worship. Maybe that's including prayer. But maybe it's also including gardening or taking a nap or going for a walk or calling a friend, or going out for lunch. It could be any number of things. But as we look ahead again to this month of Sabbath in July, I want us to practice intentionally taking time to nourish ourselves, mind, body, and spirit, so that we can then offer our best self when we go back to our doing. Take care, friends.